Well guys, we are going old school today, and I'm going to use this old Ford 3000 to plant a clover plot for the deer as a perennial plot, so it'll last for a few years. But the first thing I want to do is drain the water separators here. This is actually something that I have never done on this tractor. I've done it on the Kubota, but never on this one, and I'm not certain how to do it, but I think I've got an idea. So let's get these drained, and then we'll see if we can get some ground tilled up. I got these little plastic caps off that go right here on the bottom, and it seems to me that how this works is you just loosen this up right here and let stuff drain. But oh yeah, that's turning fine, but I'm really not sure. We're about to see. Uh-oh, that's not what I wanted. Whole thing's moving. So I don't know if y'all can see this, but what has happened here is this thing got a liquid restoration at one point in its life, which is just a fancy blue paint job by a previous owner. It looks like they didn't bother to change any filters. They just kind of spray painted over these filters here. So this tractor's whole life I had been under the impression that these weren't filters, but it was just like a single unit here with canisters with filters on the inside. But these are like screw-on filters here. And what's happening here is all of this is actually coming from the top. So this is not what I had in mind at all. Well guys, I really am not sure why I can't get the water to drain out of the bottom here, or anything to drain out of the bottom. Let me do some research real quick and see what I'm doing wrong. Well, now I've just created a perpetual leak right here, although I was able to get this out far enough for this to drain out of the bottom. So I suppose I drained whatever water might be in the bottom of this filter out. I've just got to figure out how to get it all back straight again so it won't leak. So all I really did there was create a fuel leak that I can't stop. I think there's just so much trash around those filters that trash got up into the seals or something. I can't get the leak to stop. So what I'll need to do is just get new filters and replace it all correctly. I don't have that stuff right now. So I'm going to drain the fuel off so it quits leaking eventually. I would just turn the fuel off, but the fuel shutoff valve is broken too. So let's just drain it all off, and once I get new filters, we'll do it right. That was supposed to be a quick and easy task there, and I was going to get to tilling with this Harrow here, but at this point I'll just get the new tractor, put the Harrow on it, and do it that way. I was going to give this thing a workout today. So I know that y'all can't see this, but it was beyond time to change this filter. There's all kinds of gunk floating around down in the bottom here. So yeah, that is really gross. And this rubber seal here at the bottom is quite hard. So this was long overdue. Here's that first filter there. You can see that side right there must have been in towards the inside of the tractor, towards the engine. This side must have been out because it just got painted over like that. Oops. All right, we'll just leave this like this until I get some new filters. I'll be shocked if there's not a wasp nest in this thing somewhere. No wasp nest, I can't believe it. Alright guys, so here we are in the plot that I want to get planted, and some of y'all might remember several months ago I planted some spring food plots out here as well, and those unfortunately turned into a total failure. I had a tall product down there, sorghum millet mix, and I had some clover right here, and I had a different product up at the top of the field that was supposed to help with soil health, but unfortunately weeds took it all over pretty much immediately, and it was a total failure. And I'm not sure if it was because when I sprayed I didn't wait long enough for everything to die completely, or if I did it all too early. That's an aggravating gnat. Or if I did it all too early and things just started growing once it warmed up, or you know, I'm not really sure. Maybe I didn't get the stuff dragged into the soil deep enough. I'm not totally sure what happened there, but either way, total failure, which has caused me to start over here. And you can see I've already started over down there at the bottom. There's some sorghum down there, and it's coming along pretty good. And it is really, the only use for that is to create a barricade between here and the driveways so that deer kind of feel safe coming out here in the field and don't get spooked by anything in the driveway. We're going to put clover right here where we are. You can see this spot is very, very dead and ready to get tilled up. I'm going to put clover here. It's a perennial, and it'll come back year after year and produce a good continuous supply of food. And up at the top next month, I'm going to put a mix of brassicas, peas, and stuff like that up there. But let's go ahead and get started doing this and get our clover in.
Fly.
All right guys, so it is time to get some seeds in the ground. I'm anxious to get these seeds in the ground because it is going to rain tonight, it looks like, and we're going to be planting a clover. There's a hole in the bag, so I'm trying to be careful. We're going to be planting a clover and chicory mix. Ooh, can have a lot right here. A clover and chicory mix from Real World Wildlife Products. I had this planted in another plot at one point, but unfortunately a drought got it. It is a really nice mix of seeds. Let's get this on out here and try to beat the rain. You gotta walk. You gotta walk.
It's falling. I'm trying to get it not to fall into the hole.
That's what it's supposed to do.
Oh.
Is it all? Is that all there is?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just dump the rest of it out, okay? All right, cool. Thank you. So with clover, really, you can actually just leave it on top as long as it's got ground contact, but I seem to have better results with things if I disc them in just a little bit to get some more dirt contact. So now I'm just going to straighten these rows of tines out. That way it's not going to throw a whole lot of dirt up onto the seeds. It'll just kind of throw a little extra and not a ton extra, because I don't want a whole lot on top of them. And it's starting to rain, so I better hurry. Did you enjoy watching that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah? What was your favorite part?
Getting this pipe down.
Okay. Alright, so I did manage to get that finished before the rain really started, and I also got some new filters to go on my tractor here. And I'm not a diesel mechanic or anything, but my guess is that it's probably not the greatest time to do fuel system maintenance outside in a rainstorm, but here we go. So again, there's a lot of gunk down in these bowls here. I want to make sure I clean that up really good. Again, whoever did the restoration on this tractor didn't take anything apart. There's actually blue paint on this seal right here. Get a new gasket up in there. And there's a little gasket that goes right here. Another new gasket here at the bowl. Lots of gaskets on these things. There we go. Get our filter on. Yeah, it fits. That's good. The bowl. And I'm not going to be able to test to see if my gaskets are good and if and nothing leaks until I get both of these on and start bleeding them, unfortunately. Halfway there, guys. Rain's picking up a little bit. Wish these old filters had a date on them, because I bet they're 20 years old or more. They are awful, just awful. They put several different size gaskets in these bags, it looks like. So the guy at the part shop told me this was a very common filter. So yeah, different size gaskets. So this is a super common filter, but it seems to me that they put different gaskets in there so that they can accommodate all kinds of different machines, which is really nice. I'll tell you a funny story about when I went to the part shop for this filter. I was thinking this was going to be some obscure filter, and I went in there with a quart Ziploc bag with one of these old grungy filters in it. Looked just like this one right here, and I put it on the counter, and Steve's the guy's name, he glanced at it and he said, "That's a Ford filter, 33166, and he walked to the back and got two of them. He had the number memorized. Good luck getting that in a big box store. Alright guys, I think I'm almost done here, but I wanted to show y'all kind of what I'm doing. So the filters are on, but now I need to bleed these filters here, bleed the fuel system. These are the bleeder screws up here. Basically you just loosen them up, and I guess you just wait for the diesel to start coming out. It's got bubbles. I can see air bubbles coming out. And I'll do the same thing with this side. And yeah, I do understand how ridiculous this is, doing something like this in the rain. But hey, my water separators are clean now, so there's plenty of room. I'm not sure how long this is supposed to take. While I'm waiting on that, I'm gonna scratch the hours and the date on these filters. All right, success. I've got diesel coming out of the top of this one right here, and that one too. I don't know how I feel about this. It's not fixed, it still leaks a little bit, but it's fixed enough to get it out of the rain, and that's enough for today. So it's the next day at this point, and we have had rain, lots of it yesterday, and we're getting Hurricane Idalia today, so we got that clover in just in time. Let's go see how much rain we've gotten so far. Oh wow. So it looks like 1 inch and 8/10 or so right there so far. That's great. And it doesn't look like any of the rain was heavy enough to wash any of this stuff away. So we've gotten nearly 2 inches right here of just good soaking rain, and doesn't look like anything has washed off. Of course, this matter right here, this dead grass, was helpful, of course, in preventing washout. But yeah, it's looking great. So I'm the kind of person that'll plant a food plot and come back the next day or two and just look and see if anything is sprouted yet, if there's any water. I'm a little impatient like that. Here's a wing to a Luna moth right here. Do y'all have those where you are? We call them Luna moths here. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but this is a little pile of seeds right here, probably that my son dumped out. If you can see that right there, some of it is already starting to sprout. I mean, you're talking about, what, 15 hours or something like that, and some of it's already starting to sprout. This is prime time for finding arrowheads. When you till up the dirt like this and then it rains, those rocks stay on top and the dirt kind of washes away around the arrowheads, and it's kind of left sitting up on a pedestal, kind of like a table almost. So I'm going to walk around out here for a little bit and see if I find anything. Not much of a haul this time, guys. So I got a handle of a 5-gallon bucket, a piece of a plate, and the lid to an old Pepsi bottle. Not a lot I can do outside today. Let's have a hurricane party, and this is my version of a hurricane party. Let's smoke some bacon. My torch is about out of gas here. I'm going to be using applewood chunks to smoke this bacon, so I'm just going to line these chunks up kind of all across. I think some of these are way too big, actually. I'm going to try to line these chunks up all across these coals, and so as it burns, it'll catch these on fire, and it'll smoke my bacon for me. All right, looks like we've got a pretty good smoke going here. So let's get the grill on, or the grate on here, and get some pork belly on it. Seems like a really awkward camera angle. This is actually just 1/6 of the pork belly that we got back from our pig. So it was basically two huge packages. One of them was 9 pounds. 9 pounds of pork belly in one package, and this is 1/3 of that. And my grill, of course, you can see is really not big enough to accommodate the whole thing, so we're just going to do this one little piece today and move on to the rest of them later. And by the way, I'm using the marinade from Cowboy Kent Rollins. You check out his YouTube channel. He's got the video on making bacon. It's maple syrup, brown sugar, no nitrites, no celery salt, no curing salt, none of that stuff. What else? It's got salt in it, of course, lots of salt, and smoke it like this, and it's supposed to be good. We'll see. Let's close it up and let it go. Get our lid on. I'm going to put the vents right over here so that the smoke kind of goes over from this side and rolls over that meat and comes right out over here. Hey man, what you doing?
Playing water.
Okay. Well guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. This video hasn't quite turned out the way that I had it planned. My plan was to get the blue tractor, the old Ford 3000 out, and get the clover plot in with that tractor, but the fuel filter debacle didn't quite allow me to do that. In order to get the fuel leak stopped, I've got to go get some gasket material from my dad, and I'm going to do that this afternoon. My plan after the clover plot was to get some Roundup loaded up and go out and spray off the next 2 plots that need to be planted very soon, but the hurricane didn't allow me to do that. But I am very thankful to get some rain. It was getting very, very dry around here, so I'm thankful to get some rain. So kind of a different video. Didn't quite turn out how I planned it to turn out, but I am cooking some bacon, so that makes it all better. I did want to address a question that I got in the last video. It was a very common question. I think maybe 3 people asked this question. The question was, why is Sue not in with the other pigs, or why didn't I go ahead and put Rooster, our boar, in with Sue? Something to that effect. You know, why, you know, Sue's in there by herself, she's probably going to be lonely, why not get some pigs in there with her? Well, we thought about doing that, we really did, and I kind of wanted to put some pigs in there with her, but the problem was the pigs at this point have got to be fed at different rates. So the pigs that were in there with Sue and her paddock mates, her brothers and sisters, they were on free choice feed. It was like an all-you-can-eat buffet, and I had them on that free choice feeder so that they could eat all that they could possibly eat, so that they could get as big as they possibly could in the shortest amount of time possible, and it worked very, very well. But at this point, Sue doesn't need that anymore. Sue's about 250 pounds, and I don't want her to get of course, she's natural, she's going to get bigger, but I don't want her to get super big super fast. It would be a waste of food, and she just doesn't need to be big. So I'm basically just feeding her out of a bowl, 5, 6, something like that pounds per day, just enough to keep her going, basically. The little pigs, on the other hand, do need the free choice barrel feeder, and it's out there with them right now. They need to grow. 5 out of those 6 pigs are going to the butcher later on this year, and they need to grow as fast as they can, so they need the free choice feeder. So if I mixed them all together, I couldn't separate the feed. I couldn't put a bowl over here for Sue and a free choice feeder over here for the rest of the pigs. That just really would not work out. All the pigs would just eat whatever they wanted to do because they're pigs, that's what they do. So that's the reason for that. Hopefully around November or December, we'll get Rooster, our boar, put in there with Sue, so she won't be quite so lonely. I'll definitely have to get Rooster out of the pen with his sisters probably sooner than that, just to make sure we don't have any issues there. But he'll be mature probably in November or December and able to get in there with Sue. So anyway, I wanted to address that question because it was fairly common on the last video. At this point, I'm just sitting here waiting for this bacon to get done, and I'm excited. I'm hoping that it turns out. This is my first attempt at making bacon, and I'm not sure what to expect, but I think it's going to be great. Guys, I'll see y'all on the next one, and thank you so much for watching this video.